Hey everybody, it's Dustin again with the WebEx Devices team, and today we're going to talk about USB Passthrough. Now this is a topic that has a lot of stuff around it, I guess if you could say, because there's a few different versions of USB Passthrough when it comes to devices today. And I say that because our devices like our Desk series, the Desk Pro for example, it has the USB Passthrough built into it. So does the RoomKit Mini, the Room Bar, the Board Pro, for example. And what these do is they essentially provide a single, or in some cases two cables that you can plug into your PC. And this can allow you to share things like your screen, as well as be able to share to the PC the device's camera, its microphone, and speaker system. And why is this valuable? Obviously, it gives you a lot more options in regards to the type of meetings or how you want to use your device. Obviously, we have great interop options in regards to joining Microsoft Teams meetings with the VIMT, WebRTC join options. We can work with Zoom, leveraging their CRC connector, and of course Google Meet, also using WebRTC. From the device, just kind of built in, any device pretty much supports that, especially working well with our hybrid calendar integration. But what happens if you have a video application or something outside of those, or you want to have a different experience from just the VIMT or WebRTC? Maybe you want to use the native application for whatever reason, but you still want to be able to have kind of the value of the WebEx device that you have. And that's where the USB Passthrough comes in. So just like when you run Teams or Zoom or whatever application you have, FaceTime on your laptop, when you go to the system settings of that application, you have to pick you get to pick your microphone, your default microphone, your camera, and what you want your speakers to use for that application. Now, for a lot of devices, it's pretty much default. You're going to use the built-in camera, the built-in speakers, the built-in microphone, and those work okay. But if you've been on a meeting and you've seen a Cisco device and you've seen someone on a laptop, there's clearly an obvious difference in both the video quality as well as the audio quality that you're going to see both send and receive from that device. So what USB Passthrough does is it allows you to kind of merge those two environments together to kind of give you the best of, in some ways, the best of both worlds. So when I go to my application, such as Microsoft Teams, when I go to pick my camera, my speakers, my microphone, I would actually, from the drop-down, choose the WebEx device. Very similar to if I had a webcam on my computer and I wanted to use that instead of the built-in integrated camera on my laptop, I would go to the settings and I would choose that. So very similar, something we're already familiar with, and we're going to actually demo that here in a second going through. So while this is built into our Desk series, while it's built into our Board series, and I said the Room Bar, we also have a lot of other systems out there, which is the Room series. So the RoomKit, the RoomKit Plus, the Codec Pro. We also have like the Room 55. These devices are out there quite a bit, and they don't have the necessary hardware initially or built into them to be able to support this feature. When these were created, the concept of USB Passthrough wasn't really a twinkle in anyone's eye, kind of pre-COVID, because we've had these devices for a little while. So we've been thinking about it, and there's actually a community-grown initiative here with leveraging our devices and the macro framework that we have, which is really cool when you think about it, because we've been able to, through the community, create a way to provide this pass-through functionality to these devices that do not have it built in naturally by leveraging an additional third-party device and the macro framework that we have with the customization capabilities of our codecs in general. Really, really cool that someone could use what we have provided from a tools perspective and allow you to customize and create something really, really neat like this. So today this has been accomplished through macros and a third-party device. Now I have here a device from Hdmi. This is the 4K USB. And in a nutshell, we won't go into too much detail, but what we do with this device is that it has an HDMI in, and this would come from the codec. And then we also have a USB out, and we also have some audio ports. And what this does is when you plug this into your PC, it essentially acts like a webcam or an audio media video device on your PC. So remember when we talked about how when I plug in my desk, I can choose the Desk Pro as my camera, as my speakers, as my microphone. This device, when plugged into your PC, gives you those same options, but it shows that it's coming from Hdmi. Now, there's some other manufacturers. I'm focusing on Hdmi because that's the partner we've worked with the most to make sure that this functionality works. But in the links and documentation, you'll see a couple other brands that you could also leverage and use. But when you plug this into your PC, you get those options. What we do then is we use the HDMI in on this device, and we provide a feed from the codec into here. We also have some, on this particular model, some 3.5 millimeter jacks for audio. We also can support audio through HDMI, and we'll go over that in a second as well. But essentially, this right here is going to provide the video from the codec, in which case we'll be providing a camera view, self view, if you will, as well as audio from the microphone. So to my PC, I'm showing this as a potential microphone and a camera, and we're sending the video feed from the codec's camera and the audio from the codec's microphone through this. So that will be fed into your PC, providing that functionality. There's another model of this, which is called the 4K Plus, which is what I'll be actually demoing with today. I have it plugged in. And the biggest difference between these two models is that the 4K Plus has a dedicated power adapter, so whereas this one provides its power from the USB port. But what we're going to do now is kind of talk about, we'll go through this, it's maybe a little bit confusing, but as we go through it, it'll make more sense. But we're going to talk through how you would actually enable this, set it up. It's currently in beta, so if you're on the beta program, you can test it. But very soon, this will become generally available, and you'll be able to try it out yourself on our stable channel. So a few things to note: this does require RoomOS 11, which is in beta. So when that becomes available GA, you can move your Room series devices, the Room Kit, the Room 55, Kit Pro, Kit Plus. You can put those on RoomOS 11, and then you'll be able to enable these features and these configurations, so you can test this out and use it pretty much from today on. But let's go ahead and go through some of the configurations you have to do to set up. Now, again, I did talk about briefly how you would connect some cables here, but essentially you're going to have two cables going to your PC. You're going to have a USB cable, which is coming from the Hdmi device, and you're going to have an HDMI cable coming from your PC to the codec. And that's going to be just like you would do a typical HDMI share. So I have my laptop in a room, I plug in my HDMI cable, the video comes up on the screen just like we do today. That will be the standard same. And then the USB cable will be the additional cable, which will come from the Hdmi device. If you have done USB Passthrough with a Room Kit Mini or the Room USB, it's the exact same type of setup where I plug in my HDMI cable, I plug in the USB cable from the Room Kit, and I get the same functionality. So very, very similar. It's just that this is two cables, whereas our newer devices can provide all this through one cable. So I'm going to bring up my PC here, and I'm going to show you a web view. So this is actually the codec itself. It's the Room Kit. And what I want to do is I just want to show you where the settings are for this. And this can also be done in Control Hub, so I will show you there as well in just a second. I got my control up here with the same system. But under configurations, I'm going to go in here to video. And then I'm going to scroll down to my output section. And there's a new area here called Hdmi Passthrough. Now, I have this set to true. By default, it's set to false. And when you enable true, it basically will provide a new button built into RoomOS 11, which I'll show you in a second, to allow this feature to be enabled. So you kind of toggle the USB mode on, and you can toggle it off, very similar to a Room Kit Mini. There's another feature here where it talks about output connector. Now, where this is important is that on, for example, the Room Kit and the Room Kit Plus, you have essentially two video outputs. And if you have a single screen system, you're only using the main one. If you have a dual screen system, you're using both the left and right, or primary and secondary. By default, we're going to choose the greatest output. So on the RoomKit and the RoomKit Plus, it'll be output 2 because it's only one or two we can choose from. And on the Codec Pro, it'll actually be output 3. Now, why do we have to make a selection here? Well, what happens is whenever we go to the HDMI or USB pass-through mode, we essentially take one of your outputs and we send a full screen self view to that output. So if you've messed with self view before, you can make it full screen. It takes up the whole screen. It looks great. It shows the camera. All of the camera movements you make or adjustments show up full screen. What we do is we take that, we send it to that output connector, in this case output 2, and then that's what's fed into the Hdmi device. So this Hdmi device is receiving a full screen view of the camera, the self view. That is what makes the magic of this happen and allows that to be sent to your PC as your webcam. So in this particular instance, you probably won't have to adjust this, but if there is ever a reason to change it or you want to use a different output, you can. And we'll kind of go through a little bit more of how that kind of works or looks when we go to some more of the demos. So that's pretty much all you have to do. There is one other current setting under audio. And when we go to audio, if we go to right here under microphones, there's a new config called Hdmi Passthrough mute button. And what this does is it allows you to be able to mute from the interface on the navigator or the touch device, the ability to mute the system or mute the microphone. And obviously by doing that, it will also mute whatever, the audio source for your application. So it will actually kind of give you the typical mute indicator for the device, which is a very nice feature. If for some reason you didn't want to use this and perhaps you only wanted to use the mute that's built into the client itself and you want to avoid some confusion, you could set this to inactive and it just wouldn't show. So again, I'm going to come to Control Hub here. This is my RoomKit, which I'm demoing with. I'm going to show you here. If I go to All Configurations, I'm going to type in Pass-Through. And you see here I have those same three configurations, the HDMI Pass-Through mute button, HDMI Pass-Through allowed, and the output connector. If I go to my video section here, you'll see I have it set to allowed. It's already true. The default value is false. And then this is the Cisco default value 2 of the output connector, but you could change it from here as well. So what this just simply means is you can do this from Control Hub. You don't have to actually go to the device itself. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about how to enable it, what does that actually mean? What does it do? And now we're going to kind of show you that. So I've got right here, whoops, let me pause this. Sorry, I didn't have something set up correctly. So what I have here now is I'm showing you, and I'm going to touch my navigator here. This is my navigator, as well as one of my, and let me adjust this over here, make it a little bit easier to see. There we go. This is my navigator and my primary display of my RoomKit that I had just set the configuration on. So what you're going to see here is that I have the new icon over here called Call from Laptop. And that's what we're actually going to be demoing. This is what is now built into RoomOS 11. So when I enable the HDMI pass-through configuration, this button will show up. Now, before I set this up and actually demo all of it, I want to kind of set the stage here. I have a Windows PC, a laptop right here, which I have got my Hdmi 4K Plus device plugged in. It's already hooked up, set up. I have output connector 2 from my RoomKit going to it. And I also have the USB cable going to my Windows laptop. And then out of my Windows laptop, I have my HDMI cable going to my Codec Pro's input. And just to kind of show you that, it's the same as you would normally see. So when I hit share screen, you'll see that I have my PC available. And if I hit view, you're going to see my PC pop up on the screen. Okay, so pretty standard straight setup here in regards to that. And now that we have that sharing, I'm actually going to focus my attention over to the laptop here. So we're going to make that full screen because I want to show you how you would set this up on a laptop or device. So I've got my Microsoft Teams client here, and I'm going to go up here and go to Settings. And in this particular application, it's under Devices. Now, kind of by default, you'll see that this is choosing the PC as far as your audio options, your speaker, and your microphone. I'm going to bring this drop down here. And what I'm going to do for my speakers, we are going to use the HDMI port to be able to send the audio out to the device. This is very similar to a RoomKit Mini, but I'm going to choose the Cisco kit through the display audio, and now my audio from my device will be piped out to my RoomKit. From the microphone, I'm actually, instead of using the built-in one, I'm going to change it to the digital interface, the Hdmi 4K+. So because that's plugged in, it shows up as an option, and I'm going to select that. Again, because I have my HDMI cable plugged into my Hdmi device, it is actually sending video and my microphone to that device because of how we have it configured. So this device is getting my microphone and my camera feed or my video feed. Secondly, you're going to see here I'm using my integrated camera, or I guess thirdly, I'm going to change it to the Hdmi 4K+. And the reason I want to show you this right now is because it's kind of hard to see, but this is essentially just a typical secondary display output from a codec. So if I had a dual screen system, I'd have my left side showing, and I'm going to go back here to my thing here. I would have, if I minimize my screen, I hit hide here. Sorry about that alert. So I hit hide, you're going to see that I have my typical screen, and if I had a secondary screen, it would just show a white, the same kind of background here. The reason why that we are only seeing that is because I don't have the USB pass-through enabled. If I go to, I'm going to show my PC again here. You see here that it's showing that it's white. I'm going to go to my navigator, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to hit my call from laptop button. And when I do that, it brings me this new interface, and you immediately see over here on my Teams client that the video changed from just the blank screen to now showing the view of my camera on the device. So because I've enabled this mode, it automatically just switches that over, and it will send that video feed to the device just like you would expect. So now you're actually getting that video. And I'm going to set one more thing here. One of the cool things about this is that you have this capability here, and when you're looking on your screen, of course right now we're seeing it because we're in the application. Now that I have this set, I'm going to close this to where you just see your laptop again. You're seeing on the left hand side here the actual main display of the codec, but because I have my laptop plugged in, it's showing full screen there. But I'm going to hit my self view button. When I do, you'll see that this again is the codec, and so you see the little pip there just like you would normally of the self view of the device. I am going to now exit out of my self view, and you also see that I have this mute button here, which allows me to mute the microphone. You see it up there, and it allows me to unmute it. So now, whenever I go to create a meeting or a new meeting, actually I'm just going to start an instant meeting here. When I go to Meet Now, on my application, you'll see here that it's got my settings already set up using my computer audio. I've got my camera enabled. This is showing the self view of my camera. Just to kind of show you a little bit more about how this is the actual camera, I'm going to go to my navigator. In the upper right hand corner, you see this little button that allows me to minimize this application. So I'm going to minimize it, and there's a couple things I want to show you here. First of all, because I'm in this mode, it's grayed out some icons like my call button, the join buttons that I have here, and I also am in Do Not Disturb mode now. And the reason this is important is because I'm using this codec, it doesn't actually see me as actually in a call. I don't want to receive a call or be called necessarily, and have it interrupt my existing call and take away the interface that I'm using and take over the audio, etc. But because I'm in this mode, I still have down here on the bottom, I have the ability to adjust my speaker volume. I do have my mute button easily down here. But if I come up here to my settings and I go to my camera, you'll see that not only can I continue to choose my modes, such as the speaker track, the new frames view, or the group or best overview, I also can do my manual mode here. And you'll notice that as I, for example, zoom out and zoom up and over, that my camera that's being fed to my Teams client is also getting that same view. So now all of the same camera features that I have, such as the frames view, the speaker track, or the group view, manual, any presets I had, all of those will actually work with this setup in whatever client I'm using. So again, this could be FaceTime, it could be Zoom, it could be Teams like we're doing here in this example. So those are all going to be available to me. The other cool thing here is that, again, because we're using the microphone built in, when I go to my microphone, things such as the noise removal, the Babel Labs integration, that is also going to apply to this call that you see here, because all of this intelligence is done on the device, and we're sending that through the USB to this device. So now that we have all of this squared away, we're pretty much set up and we're good to go. The other cool thing I can do here is if I disconnect, I've got some meetings coming up here if you can't tell. Once I disconnect, it goes back to that main screen, which is the secondary screen, which you see here, and my device goes back into takes it out of Do Not Disturb, and then I'm also able to take calls just like normal. So pretty straightforward in regards to how you would use this. This is native. It's built into RoomOS 11. It's a feature that we're very excited about. I know that there's a lot to kind of consume, and it's kind of hard to conceptually see, but from the user side, I plug in my USB cable, plug in my HDMI, hit call from laptop, and most of the magic's already done. And the user doesn't have to do anything except for set inside their application, their client, that they want to use the Cisco device for their audio video for its capabilities. Again, this is actually going to be available in the beta for RoomOS 11 on Room Series devices. All you have to do is be in the beta. You can sign up at beta.webex.com, put your device on the beta channel, acquire a device like the Hdmi 4K Plus or the USB, and then just hook it up and then start testing. We think that this is going to be, actually we know because of the community already involved, extremely popular feature. It already is using the macros. One question that we do get a lot is that, well, what if we're not on RoomOS 11, or maybe we have a room kit, we're not ready to move yet, we're still on RoomOS 10, or we have an older legacy device like an MX800, something like that. The good news is that this will still work in RoomOS 10 with the macros that we have, or in RoomOS 9 for some of the older devices. So the macros will still work, they'll still be supported. The new built-in experience will be for RoomOS 11 devices only, which will be the Room Kit, Kit Plus, Kit Pro, as well as devices like the Room 55 or the Room 70. There are a few devices that will not have that capability, such as the board series, the original boards and the board S's, mainly because they don't have the video outs to be able to do this. And of course, the Room 55 Dual does not, because it also does not have an additional HDMI out port. So most all this will be covered in the documentation and links I have. Kind of a longer video, and I might do a shorter one just kind of showing the basic usage of it. But I hope this was informative, and I hope that you're as excited about this feature as I am. And stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to get some more updates like this. I've got quite a few videos that I have got set to come out over the next week or so. So stay tuned for a lot more advancements that are coming your way very soon. And I'm very excited to kind of talk about them. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.